Tonight's F1 news. George Russell's mind games backfire at Mercedes. Formula One management admit their error when it comes to Pierre Gasly's speeding penalty in Monaco. But what does it mean for the other drivers who got speeding penalties? We're going to cover all of that. Helmut Marko's been in the press today saying Max Verstappen is worth 18 seconds a race of benefit compared to other drivers. Which other drivers? We'll discuss it. And new Honda fears that they could derail Adrian Newey's recovery plan for the Aston Martin. Yes, we've got a lot to get into. I'm Tony Craig. This is F1 Grandstand. And if you're a Formula One fan, of course, you are in the right place. If you do enjoy the show, do put a big thumbs up on it at your earliest convenience. It makes a big difference to the success of the channel. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you thinking? Come on, subscribe, join the community, just like Ben Roth, Gemma, Queen of the Chat, Peter, Flatlander, Ron White's in the house, F1 engineer, Jim, our latest moderator, is in the house, Drop Tuned, Amelia, Motor659, Richard Lawton. Who else? We've got loads tonight. Cal Coolett, Corinne, Rod F1 fan, Ron White, DT is in the house. Linda's in the house as well. Rod F1 fan. Oh, honestly, great to see you all with us. Big show tonight. Big show. Lots to talk about. And of course, Thane's in the house as well, and Carl as well. Everyone's jumping in. Good. Nice to have you all with us. Big show tonight. So George Russell's mind games backfire at Mercedes. Well, what's been going on? And actually, it's more interesting than you might think, because there are attempts from George Russell to do some mind games, which is quite obvious. But we've got Kimi's response to that. But also, it's interesting how the people around Kimi seem to be forming a wall of protection. Let's get into it. So, Russell mind games. And this story coming out on Planet F1. And Kimi Antonelli is refusing to get drawn into George Russell's mind games after his teammate insisted the championship is now the Italians to lose. So we all know Antonelli's breaking records every single week. They just keep piling up. In Japan, he became the youngest driver to lead the World Championship when he was just 19 years, 216 days old. Then he had his third win on the trot, which came in Miami, saw him become the first driver in the sport's history to convert his first 3 pole positions into Grand Prix wins. And now that run is up to 5. Breaking records every single week, this kid. Antonelli's season has been slightly plagued by some of his race starts, but I have to say, in Monaco, we saw him do 2 race starts. Obviously, the start of the Grand Prix, got away nice and cleanly, even though he had the smaller turboed Ferrari behind him. Got away really quite nicely, actually. And then on the red flag restart, where all the pressure was on him, guess what? He got that start window perfect and pulled away nicely again and pulled out a 7-second lead. So whatever's going on, Kimi Antonelli seems to have got on top of his race starts. But what does it come down to? George Russell making noises in the press, basically hammering home the narrative that the championship is Kimi Antonelli's to lose. But Kimi has responded. He said, it's not the first time we've seen these mind games. People always try to shift pressure onto their opponent, whether it's an external rival or a teammate. It doesn't make much difference. Fortunately, those things don't really affect me. We're still only in the first third of the season, and I think it's definitely too early to start talking about a title showdown. I am working race by race. Of course, at the end of each weekend, I take a look at the standings, but immediately afterwards, my focus is already on the next race. When I lower the visor and head out on track, I'm not thinking about the championship. I race to do the best job possible. And as I've already said, since I haven't won anything yet, I have nothing to lose. So Kimi Antonelli banging that drum, and that is true. How is a championship won? It's won moment to moment. It's not even race by race. It's decision to decision. It's moment to moment in the cockpit. And Kimi Antonelli seems to be grasping that. But it's not just Kimi's mental space, which seems really, really strong. Listen to the language of Toto Wolff after the Monaco Grand Prix. This is what Toto said in the press. What Kimi can do is special. He has full control. What's wrong with me? He has full. Get your words out, Tony. He has full control of the car and his emotions. He doesn't lose his cool if the person behind is only a second and a half behind, because he's capable of changing pace and increasing the gap. It's truly incredible. So let's just look at that first statement. He said more. This is the first thing I want to say. Toto Wolff comes out in the press, says what Kimi can do is special. He's already elevating Kimi as the special one at Mercedes. But this I thought was interesting. He has full control of the car and his emotions. Now, we could question that, because when he was racing George Russell in the sprint race in Canada, it didn't sound like he had control of his emotion. Even Toto Wolff came on the radio and said, Kimi, we don't do this over the radio. We don't moan. We don't complain. We talk about this in the garage. Stop talking over the radio. Pete Bonington said as well, basically telling him to calm down. So it's interesting that Toto Wolff says a statement which we could probably validate an alternative viewpoint, as we just have. So why has he said that? He has full control of the car and emotions. Two things. One, he sent out the message to Kimi, this is what I expect of you. I expect you to have full control of the car and emotions at all time. That's the one reason why he'd say that. And two, it's to send a message, I think, to anybody who might be trying to play mind games with him, to say, you might think that Kimi might have an issue with his emotions in the car, but I'm telling you he doesn't. And it's just sort of, it's all that positive reinforcement from the psychology point of view. And so that's the first statement. And then he says he doesn't lose his cool if the person behind is only a second and a half behind. So who's the person who's pretty much been behind him? George Russell. He's basically telling George he's not gonna lose his cool. You can chase him down, you can be on his gearbox, George, but you're not going to force him into an error. Now, I find this quite fascinating language. And he also said it's truly incredible. And then he talks about the Monaco Grand Prix, where Antonelli lapped every one of his rivals, including George Russell, apart from the Ferraris, which is phenomenal. So he lapped everyone up to third place. Bono told him first, then I repeated it, Wolff said. I added to Bono, you have to tell him he's half a minute ahead. And what's he referring to? Bono was saying, Kimi, fastest laps, we don't need him. When he was, 37 seconds ahead. He's saying, look, we don't need fastest laps. You're 37 seconds ahead. And you have just complained that there might be a problem with the power unit. So basically he's telling him, slow the hell down. We don't need it. And then Toto Wolff said, I added to Bono, you have to tell him he's half a minute ahead. Also reaffirming that Toto Wolff wanted him to slow down a little bit and stop pushing so hard. Peter repeated the message, but Kimi kept doing those fastest times. So instead of Toto Wolff in the press going, Kimi, why aren't you doing as you're told? We gave you an instruction to calm down, to slow down, to stop pushing the car, especially when you've complained the engine might be bad. What Toto Wolff has done is come on the positive and not thrown Kimi under the bus and told him off. He's basically said, but Kimi kept doing those times, so we just thought that's just Kimi's natural pace. Do I believe Toto Wolff that that's Kimi's natural pace? I mean, he's capable of that pace, but I do believe Kimi was pushing, and I do believe Kimi should have backed off a little bit to protect the car. But Toto Wolff, again, forming a ring of protection around Kimi's actions, publicly. So I think what's going on at Mercedes right now, we are seeing Bono, Toto Wolff and Kimi. Kimi's got a good mindset anyway, mostly. I still think he makes a couple of dubious choices, purely because of his age, I think, and exuberance. But Bono and Wolff are basically, they're building this like psychological protection around him when they talk about him publicly. So going back to the original point of George Russell saying it's Kimi's to lose, and sort of trying to pile on certain pressure with the mind games, I think what's happened is Kimi's got allies within the team. And I think that's why the mind games from George Russell are basically backfiring. And what is the result of that? Well, when George is attempting these little tips and these little tricks, and his boss, Pete Bonington and Kimi, are basically just, it's like a brick wall bouncing back at him. What's that doing to George Russell's psychology? It's probably adding more pressure to him. So I think going into Barcelona, George Russell has got a huge amount of pressure to deal with. And it's becoming more apparent that the Mercedes team are siding with Kimi. And I think that's what's going to happen. Even though publicly Toto Wolff does say George has been unlucky, and we know George is our driver, and we know that George is capable of doing more, beating Kimi even. Well, no, he hasn't said that actually. We know George is capable of winning races, what I should say. So, yeah, I feel that Toto's ticking the boxes with George, but the full support seems to be behind George. And I would say Richard Lawton said George is losing his number one status within the team. I think he's lost it. Right, Thane, first super chat of the night. Thane says, you are judging him by British standards. Latin people are more passionate and louder. That doesn't mean out of control. We are in tune with our emotions. Yeah, listen, I agree. Italians, I love the passion. Kimi is passionate. I love it. As a fan, I quite like feeling that Kimi's right on the ragged edge. I like to feel that, could he, that Senna was the same. Senna's ultimately my favourite driver that's ever existed. But Senna let the passion sometimes get the better of him. There's loads of evidence of it. Getting back at Alan Prost. I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. Listen, I'm a passionate guy myself. I get excited, and quite often I've been accused of being over exuberant in my approach to things in life. So I get it. I am like it as well. It's just, if I was to be more sort of mathematical and trying to sort of like optimize performance, I guess being able to control that and be able to make perfect logical decisions every time in every choice, and just keeping that rage and that passion just below and not spilling over is the optimum performance sort of position for any sportsman, I would guess. So yeah, thanks for your super chat, Thane. Oh, by the way, if you want to get super chat in, this is how you do it. All the super chats do support the show, but why would you put a super chat in? Well, a million reasons. You can ask a question, share an opinion, back your team, and just join in the show, because obviously the chat moves real quick. But if you want to guarantee to get your opinion across and your point across, use the super chat. It's there for you. You don't have to by any stretch of the imagination, but it's there for you. All super chats are guaranteed to be read out live on air. Thank you, Thane. So yeah, that's the Russell mind game story. Next up, and this is the big story today. Alpine appeal twist. What's this all about? And quite crazy. The headline is, for me, the Formula One management, the FOM, admits error as Alpine clear the first hurdle for their right of review about Pierre Gasly's speeding penalties in Monaco, because it cost him a podium. Now, there's a lot of elements to this story, and we're going to talk about all of it, because we know other drivers got penalties as well. So this is a big twist, and honestly, I'm going to right off the bat say, we never see this. We never see Formula One management ever admitting that they've done anything wrong. We just don't see it. So the fact that they have admitted that there's been an error is big, and it could affect the Monaco Grand Prix result. Let me get into it. So the FIA stewards will review why Pierre Gasly was penalised for pit lane speeding in Monaco, with Formula One management acknowledging its measuring system was inaccurate. They've admitted it. The FIA stewards have upheld the Alpine's team request to review the 2 5-second pit lane speeding penalties Pierre Gasly received. Gasly crossed the line in third at Monaco, but was demoted to seventh after the stewards applied 2 separate 5-second penalties for speeding in the pit lane. Gasly was one of 6 drivers penalised for speeding in the race. And I've got those 6 drivers right here. Alpine immediately requested a right of review on Sunday night, with the FIA accepting on Thursday that Alpine's request was admissible. The governing body will now look at whether Gasly's penalties should be rescinded. There's going to be implications of that as well if they are rescinded. So how does this work? Well, first of all, the right to review process is simple. Well, not simple. There's a high bar for that right to review to actually move forward. It starts off with a video conference between Alpine and the stewards, which is also attended by the majority of the other Formula One teams. And in that first video conference, it was established that the distance measuring system used to measure pit lane speeds was inaccurate and overestimated the speed of Gasly's car based on evidence provided by Formula One management, the series promoter, as we all know. But what you may not have known, it's Formula One management which is responsible for the timing system at every single circuit. And because that evidence was provided by Formula One management on Wednesday, which means it was unavailable for the race stewards at the time the penalties were served, which is one of the massive key hurdles for the right to review to be progressed and considered. So a right to review basically works like this. There has to be new evidence that wasn't available for the stewards at the racetrack at the time when they issued the penalty. And bizarrely, Formula One management have gone, my bad. Sorry, guys, it was our bad. Yeah, our speeding timing system was inaccurate. So now it's obvious. Well, and because of that, that information that the speeding timing system was inaccurate wasn't available to the stewards. So now the right to review process moves forward, which is crazy. Which is crazy because, like, as you can see, there were 6 penalties, 5 drivers, which got speeding penalties. And there's implications, and I'm going to talk to you about those in a minute. So Alpine argued that the FIA and FOM, that the race stewards were aware in advance of the race that there was an issue with the timing loops in the pit lane. Now, the FOM and the FIA said, no, we weren't aware of that. But that's what Alpine put forward. But the actual right of review hearing started shortly after the stewards' admittance on Thursday afternoon. So the outcome, we don't know yet, but but the outcome decision is going to be made tomorrow, Friday. And this is where it gets interesting. Okay? And this is where it gets sort of a bit more complicated. So Alpine submitted their right of review immediately after the Monaco Grand Prix. And it was for Pierre Gasly's penalties. And as you can see, Lewis Hamilton got a penalty, George Russell got a penalty, Oscar Piastri got a penalty, and so did Franco Colapinto. But none of those other drivers, even Colapinto, it was only Pierre Gasly's penalties that have been protested. Hamilton, Ferrari didn't put a protest in. George Russell didn't put a protest in, a Mercedes. So because of that, the period of time which allows for protests has passed, which is crazy for George Russell. And we're going to talk about him in just a minute. So they have a window of time to put that protest in, which means that it's only Pierre Gasly's result that can change. Pierre Gasly could get reinstated as finishing P3, get the 15 points, and Hadjar would get demoted. And everyone, obviously, from 6th to 6th, 5th and 4th and 3rd would all get demoted because Gasly finished 7th, which means Hadjar loses his podium and he loses, a couple of points. Gasly gets the P3 and 15 points for Alpine. But George Russell, where his whole race was ruined basically because of his penalty. And this is where it gets even weirder. So George Russell in the car, and he came in to get new rubber under the safety car. 10 laps to go, and he didn't want to serve the 5-second penalty. He said, "Do you know what? I wasn't speeding. We'll resolve it after." The FIA basically then made him do a drive-through penalty for not serving his 5-second penalty. And George Russell's intention the entire time was, I was not speeding. Let's protest after the Grand Prix. Let's just not serve the penalty. Let's finish the race on track and protest afterwards. Mercedes didn't put a protest in. George Russell then, because they didn't serve the 5-second penalty, then got a drive-through penalty, which dropped him out of the points completely. What did he finish? 13th or 14th. Ruined his race in such a big way. Russell would have still got a podium. I'm sure he would have still got a podium, if I remember right. So it absolutely ruined his entire race. It's not good luck, is it? But then Mercedes didn't even put a protest in. And it got me thinking, why didn't Mercedes protest like Alpine did? Because now we'd be looking at a whole new situation for Russell. I don't know how the FOM resolved that one. What do you do? Do you rescind his however long it cost him to do the drive-through penalty? Or is that still an offence because he was ordered to his fight? I honestly don't know how they would have unpicked that mess. Truly. But now they can't anyway. They can't anyway. I'm going to come to the chat and see what you were saying. Yeah, George, exactly. George is out of luck. George's position stands. The only person who's going to change his result for the better is Pierre Gasly. None of those other drivers that you see there. And if you look at the times as well, Lewis Hamilton, the speed limit was 60 kilometers an hour. Lewis Hamilton got caught doing 60.1. Russell, 60.1. Oscar Piastri, 60.1. Pierre Gasly's first offence, 60.1. Pierre Gasly's second offence, 60.4. And Franco Colapinto, 60.1. Yeah, it's crazy. No, Aston Martin won't lose their point, Cal, because Gasly finished 7th on track. So 8th, 9th and 10th will stay the same. It's only the people who finished higher than Gasly that will have their result changed up to P3. So Hadjar, obviously, who finished on the podium, whoever finished 4th, 5th and 6th will drop to 7th. Yeah, everyone loses a place. But we haven't had the result yet. The result's coming out tomorrow. We will find out. But imagine if Mercedes had protested for George Russell. I honestly don't know how they would have resolved it. I honestly don't know how they would have sorted it. I'm going to get... So, yeah, Drop Tune says, I'm sure others will kick off big time if this happens. Yeah, but there's nothing they can do. Drop Tuned. They've missed the window of opportunity to protest for a right of review. You've got a certain window after the race to put in a right of review. And none of the other teams did it. Ferrari didn't do it. Mercedes didn't do it. And McLaren didn't do it. And it got me thinking, though. Can you imagine... There you are, Thane. I'm going to mention your favourite person. If you're Christian Horner as a team boss in that point, running McLaren, Mercedes or Ferrari, can you not imagine? He would have put a right of review in straight away, wouldn't he? For his driver. He would have done straight away. If it was Max Verstappen. I don't understand why Toto, Andrea Stella and Fred Vasseur didn't do it. I think it's wacky. Why didn't they put a right to review in? It's crazy. Mark Allen, Gasly causing chaos, love it. I mean, I think he deserved it. I mean, he deserved his podium. Alpine to get P3, is a remarkable result, isn't it? And they need the points. It's a real shame. It's good to see some of the midfield teams getting a podium, isn't it? We want to see it. And Monaco is one of those tracks. It's such an outlier where wacky results can happen. I don't think Alpine are going to get a podium in Barcelona, but it had to be considered. I'm going to come to see what you guys are saying. What if the FOM only removed one speeding but still hitting with the other? Then Hadjar still on the podium and Gasly 4th. No, I think it's even Gasly's quicker time of 60.4 kilometers per hour was still not accurate. Still not accurate. Cal Cullet says at some point George has to start feeling like Toto Mercedes is setting him up for failure. I think the Mercedes team are realizing. I mean, look, Kimi's 5 wins on the bounce. Like, the Mercedes team are realizing that Kimi's a golden boy. George is the support act. Kimi's the main event. I think I think that's going to get worse for George. I don't know how he's going to handle it, but it's going to get worse. Flatlander said that they were all warned not to cut the corner. But I don't even think it's about cutting the corner, Flatlander. I think that was what we all thought originally. It's from cutting the corner. But if it was because of that, the Formula One management would not have provided evidence to support Alpine's claim that they weren't speeding. They would have gone, you cut the corner, it's your fault. But that's not what Formula One management have done. They've said that their timing system was wrong. Not that the drivers were shortening the distance between point A and point B. They're actually saying that it was their whole timing loop, their whole timing system was wrong. They wouldn't have done that if the argument was that, no, you cut the corner and you shortened the gap between point A and point B. They wouldn't have supported Alpine's claim. Why have Formula One management done that? So I think there has to be something wrong with their timing system. And I think it's a bit interesting, isn't it? That it's FOM that's provide all of the timing systems for every single Grand Prix. And the stewards are just operating with the data that's on their screens. But all the data that's collected and operated for the sport is done by Formula One management. So if FOM get it wrong, then yeah, bad news. Bad news. Hadjar says, Motor659 says, Hadjar was less than 5 seconds behind Gasly. FOM can save face and give Alpine a win, sort of. I mean, Hadjar did an interview. Obviously, it's the media press day today in Barcelona. And Hadjar was asked about it. And honestly, Hadjar was pretty cool about losing his podium potentially. He said, well, I stood on the podium. I lose a couple of points. Is what it is. If they decide to rule it in Gasly's favour, then so be it. I'm already into Barcelona. And I love that about Hadjar. Don't you? Hadjar's like, well, I'm already at Barcelona now. I'm thinking about Barcelona, whatever. If that's what happens, I lose a couple of points, so be it. I'm here now, focusing on this. And I just love that about Isaac Hadjar. I just love his attitude. I'm here now anyway. I'm in Barcelona. I'm thinking about that. And that was his attitude. He was very, very cool about it. Pierre Gasly still looked like he had a face like thunder, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Hadjar's handling it absolutely brilliantly. But let's see. We'll find out tomorrow. I'll have an update for you tomorrow night. But if you are watching for the first time, do come and join the community. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Smash a like on the video if you're watching right now. If you don't mind, if you're having a good time, just a little thumbs up makes a big difference. If you don't mind doing that, if you're having a good time, just smash a big thumbs up on it now. And if you're watching on replay, always get in the comments. I read every single comment and have your say on any of the stories during tonight's show. Next up, this is a good one, and we're going to debate it, and it'll be our first poll. I want to know if you agree with this. Max apparently saves Red Bull 18 seconds per race. This story is coming out from the Dark Lord himself, Helmut Marko, been in the press today. This is coming out from F1 Oversteer. So Helmut Marko claims Red Bull would lose 18 seconds per race if Max Verstappen left. Helmut Marko says Max Verstappen is worth up to 18 seconds per race on pure talent. That could be how much time Red Bull will lose if he leaves the team. Obviously, Max has only scored one podium so far. But on the positive side, Red Bull powertrains have been deemed to have the best ICE on the grid. That's a little bit of good news. But obviously not the best battery. That's true. So Red Bull, which is free to do in 26. So Max Verstappen's free to leave Red Bull in 26. Well, in 27, because Red Bull are not going to hit that performance clause of Max Verstappen being in the top two driver positions going into the summer break. So obviously there's always a conversation. Is Max going to stay? Is he going to go? Maybe Mercedes, maybe McLaren. He's not going to go to McLaren, I don't think, in 27, but maybe 28. Mercedes probably sniffing around. The conversation still going on. But Helmut Marko said that Max is worth 0.3 per lap, which equates to 18 seconds over a 60-lap race. So what he's basically saying is the damage of losing Max is really quite palpable. And he told F1 Insider, Max is capable of driving at the limit every lap of every race. Nobody else can do that to the same extent. The decision makers know this, not just those at Red Bull. We're talking about roughly 0.3 of a second per lap that Max is capable of driving faster than anyone else. In a 60-lap race, this equates to a time advantage of 18 seconds. If this advantage had to be invested in technology, if they had to sort of improve the car to find 18 seconds per race in the car, it would amount to a sum of tens and tens of millions. Now, this leads me into my first poll of the night. Because the one thing he's not factoring in here is which drivers are you talking about? Because you can only compare, if you're saying that about the second best driver on the grid, that Max is worth 18 seconds a race, 0.3 per lap. For the second best driver, I would have to say, have you seen Kimi Antonelli in the last 5 races? I'm not sure that's true, but we're going to start a poll. I'm going to ask you, is Max worth 18 seconds a race against... I'm T-Rexing again, drop tuned. Bloody hell. Worth 18 seconds a race in benefit compared to all the other drivers. Oh my gosh. Someone teach me a type. It's painful. Is Max worth 18 seconds a race in benefit compared to all the other drivers? Start poll. So, first poll. Do we agree with the Dart Lord? Do we agree with Helmut Marko? Yes or no? Because, look, I would have said against a lot of the drivers, yes. 0.3 per lap in an equal car. I'd say that's probably, if you're a number two driver at Red Bull, like say Hadjar is right now, if he's within 0.3 of Max Verstappen, I think everyone goes, it's great. That's all you can expect. But I think there's an anomaly on the grid now, isn't there? We've got the new golden boy. Kimi Antonelli's bloody rapid. And I keep saying it. I'm not sure if they're in the same car that Max would definitely beat him. I think it'd be interesting. Oh, we've got a super chat from Gemma. George should take note from Hadjar, pure class. Exactly. Hadjar is pure. The more I see Hadjar, listen, I know we've seen Hadjar have a couple of little meltdowns in the car when he's made a mistake, and he is prone to a mistake because he's pushing so hard. But Hadjar's becoming one of my favourites, truthfully. Absolutely, Gemma. Like, he doesn't moan. I mean, I say that, he doesn't moan. He gets on with it. He'll moan. He's very hard on himself as a driver, but he'll have a little... He's one of those guys sort of gets it out and then he's back in the car. And if he loses third place in Monaco, he's just going to get on with it. He's in Barcelona. He's going to focus on that. He's got the right mentality, Hadjar. He could turn out to be Hadjar will be, one of those Formula One drivers that's around, he'll stay in the sport 15 years, 20 years, who knows? He'll stay in the sport a long time, Hadjar. He's bloody good. He sort of reminds me of Juan Pablo Montoya quite a lot, actually, with his aggression, the way he drives. He's not a softie, is he? I like that about him. Really cool. Mad Hatter's in the house. Yes, Mad Hatter, I see you. Hadjar is resilient. He is. He's absolutely. He's resilient. Absolutely. And by the way, if you're watching for the first time, this is a great time to subscribe to the channel. It means you can get in the chat. Why would you subscribe? Well, you can get in the chat. We have live news every single night, 7:30 GMT. Plus, we have breaking news throughout the day, as and when. And of course, we have our race weekend watch-alongs. And speaking of race weekend watch-alongs, let me just show you what the schedule is. Barcelona live this weekend. We have got a lot of action. Friday, FP1, 12 o'clock GMT. That's tomorrow for FP1. I'm not around for FP2. I've got to go to work and do my normal job, but I am back for F1 News, 7:30 GMT tomorrow night. Saturday, FP3, 11 o'clock GMT. Qualifying, 2:30 GMT. Sunday, the main event, the race, 1:30 GMT. And then F1 News again Sunday night at 7:30 GMT. So that is your schedule for this weekend's live timings, mini track and commentary. And we also do a lot of predictions, fully interactive. The watch-alongs are brilliant. Last weekend we had so many of us on the watch-alongs for Monaco, so you don't want to miss it. That's the schedule. Take note. Barcelona weekend is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, Red Bull, 18 seconds. Let me see what you guys are saying. Oh, this is interesting. Everyone's been in there voting, and it's 50-50. Is Max worth 18 seconds a race against in benefit compared to all the other drivers? That is interesting. A lot of you think 50-50. I think if I was to say, I would say he probably is worth 0.3 a second against everyone else apart from Kimi Antonelli, in my opinion. And yes, if you want to equate that benefit into pound notes, to find 18 seconds a race, it's probably, you're probably talking at least $1 million a second in development costs, truthfully. So yeah, you probably need to spend 18-20 million to find 18 seconds a race, I guess. So Max is, it may be more actually, excuse me. Yeah, so Max is worth it. Max is worth it. So yeah, that's your poll. I'm going to close it up. It's close. Is Max worth 18 seconds of race against in benefit compared to other drivers? 55% of you. No, it's going up. 50. I'll leave it running, actually. I'll leave it running while we go to the next story. Let's see if that changes, because we've got new people joining the stream all the time. Okay, so next story. Honda Aston pressure. So news coming out today about how Honda could derail Adrian Newey's plan to recover and improve the AMR 26. Basically, Adrian Newey set a date of when he wants to bring the Aston Martin 26.2 to the grid. Honda might be throwing a spanner in the works. So Adrian Newey's not resting on his laurels after Fernando Alonso took Aston Martin's first point in Monaco 2026. So that's a good point, you know. Aston Martin got their first point in Monaco. Fernando Alonso got finished P10 in Monaco. I'll give you a quote from him in just a minute as well. What did he have to say about it? But Honda apparently are feeling an intense pressure to give Aston Martin an upgraded engine for Spa, for the Belgian Grand Prix in July, because that's the date that Adrian Newey's promised us an upgraded Aston Martin 26. Last night we covered a little bit of it. Aston Martin and Adrian Newey has said, we didn't want to bring upgrades in piecemeal. We wanted to bring a full upgrade package that's actually going to give us the best benefit and going to work. But that has to tie in to the additional upgrade opportunity for the power unit, which is 70 horsepower down on the Red Bull and the Mercedes. So it's a tall order, because you got Lewis Hamilton making noise as well, saying, well, we've got an upgrade token for the Ferrari engine, but it's going to be 10 months before we're going to see the benefit of that. And Adrian Newey saying, I want it by July. We want it in 6 weeks. So other people are saying 6 months. Newey wants Honda to bring their first upgrade, the additional upgrade opportunity for the power unit in 6 weeks. The pressure on Honda must be crazy. because that's what Newey wants. So obviously, like I just said, Aston Martin are yet to introduce any major updates. Nothing, because they wanted to bring it all in one package. And also they've been dealing with the vibration issue, which has been ongoing, but now solved. Was it caused by the e-power unit? Was it caused by the chassis? Bit of both. The good news for Honda is they've been given the maximum amount of ADUO help. They've got an extra 11 million in cash to spend. They've got over 200 hours of dyno time. So, well, it's still a tall order. It's still a tall order. And Alonso said about his Monaco Grand Prix point that he scored. This is what he had to say. So when he was asked in Monaco, Fernando, tell us about the positives for the weekend. Fernando Alonso says, 0 positives from this weekend, according to Autosport. We've been racing in very different circuits so far this year. All of them were clear for us in terms of understanding some of our weaknesses. In Australia, we found our engine was very down in power. In China, we found our energy was very down. In Monaco, we found our chassis is down. And in Canada, in Miami, we found that our gearbox was very bad. I think every circuit exposed our weaknesses in the car. So that's not very positive, is it, Fernando? But he did say today in the press conference that it is what it is. We are working towards fixing it. We've had a horrible start to the season, but we are hopeful that the second half of the season is going to be far better. So the pressure's on in that team. Not to mention Lawrence Stroll, Papa Stroll, with his little temper tantrums in the factory and in the paddock, piling the pressure on. I don't know. If I was Lawrence Stroll and everyone else, I'd be putting the pressure on as well. But the deadline for Papa Stroll and probably for Fernando Alonso and for Adrian Newey is Spa. So it means we're going to witness this shit show a little bit longer to Spa. But can they achieve it? I don't know. Got another super chat in from Reese Cup. Reese Cup says, before I crown Kimi fully on another level, I want to see him go through some challenges and come out on top and not good car merchant. Yeah, I agree. We will see that. Kimi Antonelli will face adversity this season. Right now, he's flying high. 5 wins out of 5. I feel it could be this weekend. You know, it could be an engine failure. It could be contact. He could not quite get the best out of the car in qualifying. George Russell could find an extra gear. The pressure's on him. Can he respond to that pressure in a positive way? He's got the fastest car. I don't think Mercedes are going to purposefully try and nerf George Russell's car or anything. I know few people feel that that could be the case, that Mercedes might start artificially slowing George's car down. I don't think they're going to do that. I think George has got the same car as Kimi. He's even adopted Kimi's brake setup, and he's even adopted more than that. I think he's pretty much running Kimi's setup entirely now. So George Russell said he does need to adapt to these new cars better. His excuse was, I was good last year in the ground effect era. I may not have adapted quickly enough to this new era of car. Not as quick as, obviously, Kimi. He probably feels that he can bring more performance. Will he in Barcelona? I think this is the weekend for him that he has to do it. What does that mean for Kimi if George Russell ups his game a little bit? Is it a little bit of extra pressure? I don't know. It could happen this weekend, but George does have to get a result in Barcelona for me if he wants to keep his hopes alive, right? If he wants to keep it going, if he wants to still be on the Mercedes train of he could win the World Driver Championship, at least he really wants to focus on not even about the Driver Championship. His challenge is to beat his teammate. Like every driver in every team, you can't win a World Driver Championship if you can't beat your teammate. He needs to find a way. The mind games aren't working, so it just has to be an extra level of performance from George. He needs to make his Formula One experience matter. He needs to lean in to making better decisions than maybe Kimi would make because of his experience. And that's what George Russell needs to lean into, in my opinion. Linda says, I don't think George can do it. Yeah. Drop Tune says, is an extra gear legal? Yes, Sean Meets, I see you in the house. We mentioned Hadjar earlier, but sadly, his history has proven that he'll never be a world champion. All the Brazilian world champs' names ended in on. Emerson, Nelson, Ayrton. Some tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's French-Algerian, Hadjar. I don't think he's not Brazilian. Bortoletto, I think, is Brazilian. Honda needs party mode, Mardi Gras. Can you fix the tarmac, Ben Roth says. Well, I don't think we're going to have that problem in Barcelona. I don't think we're going to have tarmac issues. Linda says, agreed, Kimi isn't as good yet. That will improve with WTW yet. That will improve. And Max still hates regulations. Max will always hate regulations until they're exactly as he wants. ADOU for driver upgrades. Corinne says, Peter, I'm both terrified and excited to see them in the wet. Chaos will ensue. And that's a good point. We need to see Kimi in the wet. And guess what? Spa is probably going to be wet because it's going to be an interesting Grand. I love Spa. And it's on a rotation cycle going forward for next season. We've got Spa this season and Barcelona, Catalunya. But as of next year, they're going to rotate. 1 year it'll be Spa, 1 year it'll be Barcelona. Both of those circuits are in a rotation now going through this regulation cycle 2031, which is a shame because Barcelona's a great track as well. It's such a good leveler because it tests every driver. It's not just fastest car down the straight, twisty bits. You need high downforce. You need good car through medium speed corners, low speed corners, and you need low downforce down the straight. So it's a great track for the drivers. They all love it. But it's in the rotation moving forward with Spa for next year. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting race, Spa. I can't wait for it. Dwayne's in the house. Too many sharks in the water. George won't make it. Harry Brown says, perhaps Alonso is just taking the money. He could be, however, the consummate professional. I think Alonso's taking the money. The big question is, when Aston Martin improve the car and Honda improve the car, and it will improve. It's just how quickly they will improve it. Will they be able to attract a decent driver to replace Alonso? And it could be as early as 27. And if you're looking at George Russell's seat that might be under threat, you know, if I'm Aston Martin, I would probably want, if I could get a driver as good as George Russell over at Aston Martin with this year's track record of performance, I think you're doing pretty well. Otherwise, someone mentioned drivers like Carlos Sainz. If you could entice a Carlos Sainz over to Aston Martin. But the driver market's going to get interesting because I think Aston Martin will need to find a driver for 27. So they want to put their car in a shop window of performance to attract a better driver or a good driver that could be, you know, as good as Fernando Alonso, and he's a great driver. So yeah, they're under pressure. They have to bring that performance before the end of the season if they want to attract a half decent driver moving forward for 27. Because I think Alonso's thinking about it. My bet is that Alonso isn't there in 27. Yeah, Stroll's not going anywhere, is he? Lance Stroll ain't going anywhere, but he needs to improve. Even with a shit car, Lance Stroll needs to get quicker. 100%. He's not to be like, you know, between 0.6 and a second a lap behind Alonso is not good enough. Not good enough at all. And Lance Stroll better, you know, pull his socks up. Can't just be good in the wet. Yeah, Carlos Sainz to Aston Martin drop tune says, I think that would be brilliant. Listen, he's driven for nearly everyone else. And if Aston Martin, here's what I think. If Aston Martin bring a better package by the end of the season than Williams, they've got a shot at getting Carlos Sainz. If a better team don't come in for him. Because you can tell Carlos Sainz is super frustrated. And the Williams car, although better than Aston Martin, it's not competing with Alpine. Aston Martin needs to be competing with the Alpine and Racing Bulls by the end of the season. That really is the benchmark. If they do that, you've got a chance of getting a good midfield driver. An Albon, a Sainz, maybe even a Gasly, although I think he's on a 2-year contract at Alpine for 26 and 27. So they'd have to bring a better proposition than what Alpine have got right now. And Alpine are on the up. Dead last season, and now solidly P5. And Pierre Gasly's got a podium in Monaco, potentially. We'll find out tomorrow if their right to review works out. But yeah, interesting. Ben Roth in with a super chat. Cheers, buddy. Who's your favourite, Kimi, Raikkonen or Antonelli? I loved Kimi Raikkonen, Ben. What I loved about Kimi Raikkonen is that he didn't play the media game at all. I don't know whether a driver like Kimi Raikkonen makes it into Formula One now, because media duties have become so important. Kimi Raikkonen was at that, he sort of crossed over where when he first came in, he was able to just not do a lot of media, one-word answers. And then they started introducing a lot more press duties for the sport. Media, yeah. Who do I prefer? Oh, gosh. Kimi Raikkonen at the moment, because I watched Kimi Raikkonen for years. I saw him win a world championship at Ferrari. I saw what he did at Lotus. He went to a team like Lotus, which shouldn't be competitive, and he signed a really interesting deal. He signed a deal which meant that he earned something like, I want to say something like 100,000 euros per point as a bonus scheme on his lower paid yearly salary. And then was started scoring a lot of points for Lotus. Lotus didn't expect Kimi to be the difference, but he was. I don't know, Kimi Raikkonen, I also liked the fact of how he dealt with the press. I liked the fact he just said what he wanted. He was not somebody that could be managed. You pay Kimi to come and drive the car and you get Kimi, but you don't really tell him what to do you? And I like that about him. And I think that type of driver now, I think we've seen the last of that type of driver. I do love Kimi Antonelli. I do. And he might grow to become one of my all-time favourites, but Kimi Raikkonen just has a special place in my heart. Yeah, Cal Cool, it says that. Kimi Raikkonen, 100%, one-of-a-kind guy. He was. Absolutely. We just won't see another one like him. We won't see another one like him. Ben says, rhetorical question anyway. Yeah, I mean, look, they're both brilliant. I tell you what's funny, though. The amount of times I say Kimi Raikkonen when I mean Kimi Antonelli. It just slips out. I do it all the time. I'm not the only one. Sky Sports presenters do it as well. Loads of people say, it's like, he was the only Kimi, wasn't he? Yeah, Kimi Raikkonen. It always slips out. But yeah, Kimi Antonelli is obviously an awesome, awesome driver. And ask me the same question in 5 years, Ben. Right, time to, it's my age, Drop Tune says. Yeah. All right. So going back to tonight's poll, is Max worth 18 seconds a race against in benefit against other drivers? It's 50-50. I'm going to collect 52% of you say yes, 48% of you say no. All right. It's a good poll. Is a good poll. So just a quick reminder, this is the schedule for this weekend. Barcelona live, FP1 tomorrow, 12 o'clock GMT. We're going live with our first watch along. F1 News tomorrow night, 7:30 GMT. Saturday, FP3, 11 o'clock GMT, qualifying 2:30 GMT. Main event race on Sunday at 1:30 GMT. F1 News, 7:30 GMT on Sunday night. So loads and loads and loads of content for you this weekend. Live timings, mini track, commentary, we've got it all. You know the format. Really, really cool. Hope to see you all with me tomorrow at midday here tomorrow at GMT. And if you are watching for the first time, do subscribe to the channel. Do smash a big thumbs up on the stream, on the video before you go. If you're watching on replay, brilliant. Get in the comments, tell me your thoughts on any of tonight's stories. I will put some couple of news stories below me for you to check out. If you're watching on replay, do have a little watch of those as well. Thank you so much to everyone for watching and all your support. Honestly, it means the world. I'm loving the way this community is growing every single day. It's pretty bloody awesome, isn't it? I'm going to see you all tomorrow at 12 o'clock GMT for FP1 Barcelona F1 Live. Ta-ta.